We are here live right now on the WPTV page. I'm here with Kaylee Kukla. She is a parent coach, a child development specialist, and we're talking a little bit about spring break and what you can plan to do with your kids. I mean, depending upon what you're comfortable with, if you have to work, if not, whole host of different things you have to get through to come up with those plans. So the first thing we want to do is play a story we put together on what to do if you have to spend spring break at home with your kids and you're working. Watch this.
We're going to plan some activities together.
Elizabeth Palace wants to plan a fun but simple spring break at home with her 2 young boys and husband.
I still have to work. I can't stop working. So part of that is just figuring out how to work that in. My son is just learning without training wheels, so we're going to do a lot of practicing with that.
Look at you.
Kaylee Kukla is a mom of 2, plus a child development specialist and a parent coach.
The simplest activities make the sweetest memories for children.
She says if you want to do a DIY camp, that's great, but also says it's okay to lower the urgency.
The fact of the matter is, we're a year into this pandemic. We're tired. You know, it's been quite a ride. And we've just got to be really gentle with ourselves.
The best way to think about this, she says, is a list of 3. Create a visual calendar for the family, lower expectations, and use screen time accordingly.
Use screen time as a tool.
Kukla says it's okay to give the kids a TV show to watch when there's something important you have to get done.
Being aware of when you have to detach from the kiddos, you have to disconnect. And making sure you buffer that disconnection time with some connection time.
As far as making for a manageable week in March, she has this to say.
Here's your permission to give your kids the most simple things to play with. Cardboard boxes and string and water with cups. It could be something really simple like eating a meal outside or ordering pizza and movie night.
Kukla says she always comes back to the importance of placing the visual calendar in a high traffic area like the fridge for the kids.
In that visual schedule, giving them something to look forward to. And it doesn't have to be Disney World.
And follow the simple golden rule of parenting as a guide.
The quality of time always matters more than the quantity of time.
Tori Dunnan, WPTV News Channel 5.
All right. So as always, Kaylee, you gave some great advice. The thing that really kind of stuck with me the most is it doesn't have to be this big, fancy spring break, but creating a calendar where the kids have something to look forward to. Maybe there's one activity a day. Tell me kind of where that thinking comes from and why you like that.
Yeah, I think it comes from a place of being realistic. And I'm a working mom. I have 2 young kids, and we've been home together a lot lately. And it's okay to giving children.
All right, it looks like we are having a little bit of issues with Kaylee's internet. I can hear you in the distance saying no. There you go. You're back. Okay. This is working from home, right? You just got to deal with these things. So if you're not freezing up, tell us about the calendar, and we'll go from there. I think she is freezing up still. All right. So anyways, let's just continue on, and we'll hope that she'll be able to join us back in a minute. So I do also want to say, trying to come up with activities to help people and help them come up with inexpensive things to do that can get the whole family involved. I took a little trip out in nature and have some more ideas for you guys on what you can do with your family. Look at this. Oh, you're back, Kaylee.
Hi.
Hi. Hold on. This is going to play now. Watch this and then we'll chat.
Some fun and affordable ways to fill up your spring break, the River Center in Jupiter is offering a handful of them, including a nature walk where you can explore what's in our backyard.
It'll probably be a little muddy, like if you get down in there. Blue heron. I usually see a lot of birds around in here.
Jocelyn O'Neill,
These are the Florida red maples. I love these trees.
the environmental education manager at the River Center in Jupiter, takes us on a guided hike through the North Jupiter Flatwoods.
This is a great beginner trail. Really, we want to connect people with nature. The easiest way to do that is actually to take them outside.
That thought led to the idea of family programs over spring break. There are also kayaking tours launching from Burt Reynolds Park. Sarah Duggan,
You'll find snooks and snappers and pufferfish.
the River Center Community Outreach Coordinator, says expect to see plant life and birds and a few surprises when you hit the water.
We try to mix it up. So whether it's a freshwater source or a saltwater source, if we're in the estuary, in the intercoastal, if we're lucky, we'll see some manatees sometimes. We have seen sea turtles.
And there's story time around the campfire behind the River Center.
Does this animal have a nose?
It involves a bit of show and tell too, with live animals.
Very good.
The nature hike and the story time are both free. You do have to pre-register for them. And the kayak tour does have a cost, but it's minimal.
All in all, some great affordable ways to connect with each other and nature. And fill up some time and burn some energy.
Absolutely, all of that sounds great. It's been so long. We like to be outdoors all the time.
Tori Dunnan, WPTV News Channel 5.
All right, so welcome back, Kaylee. I think kind of when I did that story, what stuck with me is the mom saying it's been so long. And that goes to your point as well. When you're trying to come up with spring break activities, acknowledge the fact that this has been a long haul. Like, we don't need to go all in on every activity, right? Can you talk about that?
Hold on.
We might still be having issues with your internet. All right, well, while you're working on that, I want to ask everyone, do you guys have any plans for spring break that you want to share with us? Let's see what we have here. Someone said Rapids is opening on Saturday, so that's the water park. You can always head over there and check that out. Another person said we're staying home, worried about surge in cases at the end of the month. So those would be people who are trying to plan things around the house over spring break, or maybe do some of these more nature activities. Someone's going to Universal Studios, always a good time there. So this sort of, displays the point that everyone has varying levels of comfort with what they want to do over spring break. And Kaylee, I don't know if we have you back. If not, I want to try to do this again at another time. So,
Hold on.
wow, innovative.
Can you hear me?
I can, switching devices mid live stream.
All right. Hey, we're gonna roll with it, right? I muted my other one. Can you?
Okay.
Can you still hear me? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're just hearing a little bit of, go away from the old device, I think, just so we don't get feedback. There you go. All right. So, tell us a little bit about all of your knowledge on acknowledging the fact that this has been a long haul and not everything has to be all in.
Yeah, I think it's really important to remember that we're a year in. Remember, school just stopped the Friday before spring break last year. And so this is really our 1-year anniversary of having this heavy load of heavy decisions to make. What is the comfort level? What is this risk benefit ratio for our family? How do I entertain my kids while I'm working from home? So understanding that we want to set everybody up for success. And the way we start that is managing expectations, managing our children's expectations, and managing our own expectations. So our kiddos are going to expect some sort of something over spring break. But like I mentioned in that package before, sometimes the greatest activities for our kids are the simplest because they can make it their own. They can use their creativity and their innovation and really let their interests drive the activity instead of us having to come up with everything.
Okay, one other thing you talked about is if you have to work, you have to work. So sort of padding the time that you have to work with time with them. So talk a little bit about that. How does that work?
Yeah. So our family was just on full lockdown for a month. And so I was at home and my husband and I were both working while having the kids out of school. And so the way I do it is I look at my day and I time block my day, and I understand, okay, this is the time frame that I have to be on the phone. This is when I'm doing the interview. And I try and plan, what can I do with my kids before that? Some really good quality time where I'm fully present with them. My phone's away. They have my attention. They get to pick it. And then what can I offer them after that to look forward to? And really clearly, and that's why I emphasize the visual schedule, is really clearly delineating, so they understand, first I'm going to do this, and then we get to do this. So there's some motivation to let mom or dad finish that, what they have to do.
Another thing I saw you say is, put a stop sign on the door.
Yeah.
A visual cue, right?
Visual cue. Again, managing those expectations. So I've even seen like the green sign, the yellow sign, and the red sign. So, and we have a conversation about what's an emergency. If you really need me, of course I'm going to be here, right? But if you're going to go into the office or go into a closet and shut the door, this is the stop sign that says, I'm on the call, you can't come in, or proceed with caution, be quiet when you enter, like the yellow sign. Or the green sign is, open door policy. I'm just replying to emails. I can turn and give you my attention if needed.
So talk a little bit about how you come up with some of these activities. If someone wants to do kind of a DIY camp at their house, like maybe they partner up with a neighbor and sort of switch off, like how should they come up with what to do with their kids?
Yeah, I think really getting curious about what the kids are interested in. So my kiddos, it's really interesting that you chose the birds for the bird package, because my kids, we love looking at backyard birds. And I don't know if it's just me, but we've spent a lot of time doing that in the past year. So doing things like that, and then trying to turn it into something with an element of some sort of excitement. So if you're going out into nature, what can we add to it? We can make a scavenger hunt. We can have a purpose, giving them a goal to work towards. So even something as simple as family night, movie night, we can order pizza, we can pick a family-friendly movie, and then allow the children to have a goal to work towards that, making movie tickets or making a fort blanket to get into, adding just a little extra something that is geared towards the kids' interests.
Okay, and then as far as activities, like how do you decide where you should go, what you should do? I mean, a lot of that is, again, varying comforts right now, but do you recommend kind of like one big highlight of the week, or each day has something like, pizza night at the beach, the list goes on and on?
I think that's asking a lot for one activity like that, because fact of the matter is, our energy, parents' energy, is finite, where it seems like our kids' energy is endless.
Is it? I don't know. I literally fall asleep every day sitting up at the end of the day.
See, like we've got it. So we don't get and maybe we already are burned out. So the goal is to preserve ourselves a little bit too. So if you've got a full day of scheduled, maybe say that's going to be some downtime. Like we need family downtime. We're not going to try, if transitions out of the house are tricky to coordinate, maybe we just stay. That's a good indoor family time at the house. Then on lighter days where you might have more energy left over, that might be a good time to do a picnic at the beach, or again, varying on comfort level, maybe go into a restaurant. I think first and foremost, before you set out to make any plans, it's really understanding, what is my comfort level right now? Do I feel like there's a higher risk because of spring break and a possible surge in cases? Have we already had it and we have the antibodies right now, or do I have my vaccine? There's all kinds of different scenarios, and just getting really clear on that first will be helpful in dictating what you're comfortable even suggesting to the kids, because we know as moms, if you say it, they're probably going to hold you to it. So be careful with what you throw out there as an idea.
Yeah, I've gotten into that before, where I've thrown out an idea to my daughter, and then she tells the teacher that's what we're doing that day, and I'm like, no, that's like 6 months from now. Don't worry, we're not doing that right now. But, one thing is, and I feel like this is where you might come in and be really helpful with spring break, is obviously kids are not going to all be doing the same thing. Everyone has their own situation, even more so now with the pandemic. So how do you tell them, we're not comfortable doing that right now? Your friends might be doing it in school, but how do you have those conversations about spring break as people are starting to talk about plans?
Yeah. Oh man, that is just such an excellent question, because there is a difference between families and for whatever reason. And so whenever I'm talking about family differences with kiddos, especially when it comes to the current pandemic, is we want to focus on safety. That feels safe for their family. It doesn't feel safe for our family. And sometimes it's just different. If we're seeing grandma and grandpa, or if I help take care of my great grandmother, or if we have someone who has asthma, or some sort of pre-existing condition, we just have to be more cautious. Now, we don't have to go into that with our kiddos, but it's important to say, look, we're doing this to keep people safe. And this is what's safe for our family, and that's what's safe for that family. And one's not wrong. It's important we're not judging ourselves harshly or another family harshly. It's just different for different families.
And one other thing you talked about in the story we did together is go back to the basics, right? It's the simple, you said boxes, I think string, like tell me what you mean here.
Yeah. So I sent a picture, and I was like, I'm going to send them this. I don't know if they're going to use it. And I'm looking outside my porch because we have a kid craft table out on our back porch, And I looked out there the other day, and my kids had taken the chairs and taken towels and taken string. And I have a 6 and a 3-year-old boy, so they're very industrious together. And they had built like a fort, like a leaning fort out of or pool towels, string, and the table. And they had arranged all kinds of junk. They like to collect things like rocks and sticks. And I mean, kids are collectors, right? So sometimes I lovingly call them hoarders. But they constructed it all by themselves. So kids are wired to explore and to experiment and to create. That's a part of them learning about their environment. And learning about life and building that background knowledge. So they intuitively will do those things. The key is they need a safe place to do it. So if there's not a safe place, or if for example, my porch wasn't safe for whatever reason, I've got to tell them where they can go and do those really simple things, but where they can do it freely, and I'm not worried about safety, and they can just go as they need to.
So you're basically not saying no all the time or stop or whatnot. Right.
Yeah. Because that's it. That wears us down, right? We get super frustrated, and our kids get super frustrated because they're like, oh, I'm just I have this really cool idea in my head, and you never let me do anything. So setting them up for success, making sure they have a designated place where it is safe for them. I don't care if they take the little plastic chairs and put them on top of the little table. I would care if they were standing up, on top of our kitchen table. That's not safe. So getting really clear on those boundaries of where they can go to have that safe, creative, industrious play.
Any other ideas, Kaylee, for spring break plans for people trying to fill the week plus day or two, whatever it is these days?
Yeah, one of my favorite ways when we were locked down this past month was I would get to go, like I would order Starbucks on my app or Modern Juice, which is by the beach, and I would pick up food and go by the beach and open up the trunk. And we did breakfast like that. We'd have breakfast on the beach. And just because my kids are early risers, so it's really early for me to get out of the house. Maybe you're not an early riser. Maybe you need a noon break, like you have a lunch hour you can take. So simple little things like that. Kids love that kind of stuff. Trying to spice up family walks, because I think we've all done our fair share of just walking in our neighborhood this year.
For sure. I know my neighborhood better than anything now.
I know. So the great thing about where we live, right, is thank goodness it's warm out. It's not 30 degrees. We've got plants. We have animals to look with. So I recently took my kids on a flower hunt, and they picked all kinds of different flowers and weeds. And I have cool neighbors that let us pick their flowers. And we made bouquets. I just gave them vases and big buckets of water. Kids love water play, sensory play. So I'll give them a big tub of stuff, put it out on the back porch where I just hose it down afterwards. And simple things like just adding food coloring to water, baking soda and vinegar, just switching it up enough where it's novel and different, but that you're not racking your brain trying to come up with these like amazing, incredible Pinterest level activities, because the reality is you're going to burn yourself out. And the more intricate things are, the less kids are likely to go towards it. They'll get bored with it in 10 minutes. So simple is better. Open-ended is better.
Okay.
Get it out. And forts, anything. So when my kids making forts, because it gives the kids their own space, right? It creates their own world, and letting them bring the toys and stuff, it completely changes the type of play when they're in their own space. So we love forts in our family.
And then I think you have to go in like a minute or two, but one last question for you. You talked a little bit about if you have to use screen time over spring break, it's not the end of the world in your opinion. I mean, I know people have a lot of strong opinions on this topic.
Yeah. So we're a low screen family in our family. We do not do a lot of screen time. My first and my second really didn't even see a screen until they were like 2.5, 3 years old. So I get that, and I'm in the same boat. But here's the thing. A lot of us are in survival mode right now. We have to work, right? And there's no choice. We don't feel safe, dropping our kids off at camp. Maybe that's not an option for you. Screen time can be used as a tool. If you have a kid who really enjoys it and that's going to buy you 30 to 60 minutes of uninterrupted time, then use it strategically. That's when you're going to do the most critical work, where you need the most uninterrupted time. I shared with you when you were interviewing me for that package, I had no childcare. My kids were still out of school. I put on 45 minutes of whatever they wanted to watch, and we were uninterrupted.
I was not, if you recall.
I know. But having that mindset of just setting the expectation for yourself and not shaming or guilting yourself for doing what you need to do to be a good parent. You are serving your children in ways they don't even understand by working and getting a paycheck, and that, so you can have a life.
So try to wrap it up for me and kind of your, as we get ready to end this, your top advice for how to plan out a spring break that fits your family these days.
I think gaining clarity as a parent is super important. Get clear on what are absolutely the non-negotiables during your week, things you have to get done, right? For work and for family. And then plan around those things and set your expectation. Okay, today I have A, B, and C I have to get done. Everything else can be flexible. If I need to let this go, if the kids eat, cereal for dinner, I'm not going to guilt myself because they were safe, happy, fed, and we made it through the day. It's 5 days. We can do this. So I think just getting really clear on what the goals and priorities are, and then having the conversation with your kids. And even, those visual schedules, I started using them with my kids when they were 18 months. So even below 2-year-olds can really understand very simply, here's what we're going to do. And they like knowing what we're going to do. They like going up and seeing that. They like having that predictability. But it starts with us. We've got to get clear, and then we can delineate, what their options and choices are and where that flexibility is.
Awesome. Always great to talk with you. Everyone, if you're watching, feel free to continue to comment on your ideas for spring break, because everyone's probably crowdsourcing ideas at this point. I've been doing a couple different stories this week, so make sure you check those out. We played the one story about some of the outdoor activities through the River Center up in Jupiter. On Friday, I'm doing a story about a camp at the South Florida Science Center and Aquarium. It's they've got a full day camp or a full week camp, and then they have individual days and they're taking a lot of safety precautions with COVID. So you want to check that out too. But thanks for joining us, Kaylee, and thank you everyone for watching. I will see you all later.
Thanks so much, Tori.
Bye.
Bye.